Hi, everyone. I'm Becky Farrell, Research Lead and Programming Consultant for Dance Data Project. Our series, Moving Forces, Motherhood and Dance, is composed of rapid-fire conversations with mothers in varying roles in the dance field. Today, I'm so excited to be joined by the incredible Ali Duffy, Associate Head and Professor of Dance and Honors and Graduate Dance Director at Texas Tech University. Also the founder and Artistic Director of Flatlands Dance Theater and co-founder of the International Alliance for Parents in Dance. Welcome, Ali.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
Hi, we're excited to have you. Okay, so rapid fire. Let's jump right in. So at what point in your career did you become a mother?
So I became a mother, later than the average US American. I was 37 when I had my son. And I had already had a performing career, and then I went to graduate school. And I was a tenured professor once I decided that it was time to have a child. And on the one hand, I felt like it was a good time to have a child because I had gotten tenure. I felt a little more stable and secure in my career. But at the same time, I hadn't really met who I wanted to have a child with until I met my husband. And so it just kind of worked out well that way.
Yeah, awesome. And then during that time, since it was a little later, right, then what I like the way you said it, than like the American average. So what barriers did you encounter then during this time?
It's a great question. So my employer offered very little in the way of formal support in the way of parental leave. So I had to negotiate a course release with my department chair. And this meant that I was still teaching right after I gave birth to my child.
Wow.
And I was expected to be grateful for that and was later penalized for that, if I'm being fully transparent about it. So, and this is not, I was back to teaching maybe 2 weeks after I had my baby. And this is not something that I'm bragging about. This is something that I continue to be frustrated about. So it was definitely something that I felt like was a challenge and an obstacle when I first had him. And I continue to be shocked that at prestigious research universities across the country, there is no support in the way of parental leave, in the way of postpartum healing, breastfeeding support. So it really kind of feels like you're on your own trying to meet the needs of you and your baby in this really important period of time. The other major barrier at work has been the idea of a work-life balance or a work-life integration.
Yes.
I don't think this is news to anyone working in the arts or anyone working in arts academia.
Yep.
The idea of sustainability and work-life integration are not respected nearly as much as they need to be. And the strange thing that I think people don't understand in other disciplines is that we go to work and we teach and we attend meetings like every other faculty member across campus, but then we're expected to make and produce choreography, direct and produce shows, attend events in the community and other arts events. And this is all couched under the idea that we are good departmentals and that we're doing our full job if we basically work 2 of them when everyone else across campus is kind of working 1.
Right.
So I think that's something that, a lot of people don't understand about us dance folk.
Yep.
We work unique hours, and that makes childcare extremely hard too. And that brings me to the most consistent challenge as a parent is finding affordable, reliable, available childcare.
Yes.
And, babysitters are hard to come by, and even more so last minute, who maybe know CPR and who are experienced with children.
Wow.
And daycares have years-long wait lists.
Yes.
So it's, I think it's pretty critical that we start providing an infrastructure in this country for working mothers in dance. And those are some of the things that need to be included.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So many barriers, right?
Yes. Yes.
So many. So with that, were there any support systems that were there that were beneficial? Even like then, now, like what is that experience been like? What's been helpful?
Yeah. Well, first I should say that as a faculty member in a university, I do have the benefit of benefits. I mean, I had healthcare.
Yep.
And a lot of people in dance don't. A lot of mothers in dance don't. So I was really grateful for that, even though I think that the healthcare was not fully covering what I needed pre and postnatally. And another important resource that I thought was really helpful was the dancers that are in my company that are also mothers, some of whom are also my colleagues at Texas Tech, were hugely important to, and continue to be, in my sort of motherhood journey, figuring this all out. It turns out none of us actually know what we're doing. And so it's been nice to have these people in my network, I call them my village, who have shown me what progressive, messy, loving motherhood is. And they're modeling that for me. And they continue to show up in multiple ways with, an ear to listen, advice, even practical help. Like some of them have babysat my child and in a pinch, and, they show up in these really unexpected ways. And I don't think I realized what a strong community I had here until I had a child, because we really show up for each other. And then I think the third support that I found really helpful are groups on social media devoted to either dance, arts and motherhood, and academia. Those have been really helpful. If anything, just to have some solidarity, so sharing of experiences, but also sharing ideas for advocacy and support of each other in the academy.
That's awesome. I'm glad that those are there. And thank you for bringing up like social media groups, which we're seeing a growth in that. Yeah, that's incredible. And it takes a village, right? I feel like that's something we keep hearing in these interviews, that, you really don't know what to expect until you're in it. And it's just really nice to have those communities of support. For sure. So good. So speaking of support, how can we really encourage and support partners, particularly those who are male identifying and playing a more equal role in parenting? I always have a little caveat in this question where we understand at the beginning of that motherhood, like the baby is really going to want and need to be with the mom. And we understand that there could be some imbalances, but are there ways to kind of equalize the parenting?
Yeah. Well, I can only speak from my own experience, and I am, I'm in a heterosexual cisgender relationship. And so I tell a very specific story of how this can work. But I have the benefit of being married to a man who considers himself a feminist, and a man who is truly interested in being an equal a true partner. And I don't think I would have gotten married was not committed to that. So I guess that would be my first, piece of gentle advice to other women in the field, is to marry someone who's interested in being a true partner. So, and that doesn't always mean that things look equal to someone looking at your marriage or your family from the outside. So during production weeks, my husband could be doing 90% of the household chores and childcare. While on the other hand, if he has a big talk to prepare for, or some kind of a deadline looming, he's an academic as well. And I might be that person that week. And so it doesn't always look equal, but we show up for each other in ways to kind of balance that out. And we do have specific meetings where he and I will sit down, look at the calendar together, and say, okay, this crazy week is coming up for you. And so that means you're going to take over on this crazy week for me. And we negotiate that with each other. It feels a little bit like cold and calculated in the moment, but it works so well for us because we're so busy. So I think, like not being afraid to try those things with your partner is going to be really important to being able to manage it all.
I love that. I love the idea of like a family, like, let's sit down, look at the calendar, let's go through it. I think it's really beneficial. So now thinking about, are there other ways that companies or venues or even, dance service organizations can really advocate and support dance moms right now?
Yeah. So I think hire mothers, promote and produce their work, really go to that place where you want to tell stories of motherhood on stage and screen and in scholarship. And so those things need to be supported. If you have any control or power in an organization, those are things that you can do to show that you are interested and that you care about those stories and that experience. We don't often see motherhood stories represented on stage. And so I think finding ways to fund those and to support those is really important. But then also, if you have power in an organization, being willing to implement policy, and not just for mothers in dance, but bringing them into that conversation and asking them what they need and being willing to devote resources and funding toward those people.
That's great. Thank you for those recommendations, Ali. That's great. And now what about DDP? What can we do to keep supporting mothers in the field?
It's a really great question. So my research has shown me that so I have a book that's going to be coming out called Dancing Motherhood. And this is research that includes 327 participants who consider themselves either pregnant women or working mothers in dance. And the primary need that they say they want is childcare. And we talked about this a little bit earlier, that we have these unique hours and schedules and needs in dance. And I think, as supposedly the wealthiest country in the world, there is no excuse for our country to be treating women like second-class citizens. I think one of the biggest devastations over the past year has been that we've literally lost autonomy to our own bodies. And we need reproductive justice in addition to support of families, women and men in this country. And that includes childcare, healthcare, things like that. So I think anything that organizations like DDP can do to advocate for those needs that directly relate to women's ability to participate in dance is going to be hugely important. And you're already doing that. So I think this series is huge in the way of making an impact about sharing what is needed and what's going well. It's not just that it's all doom and gloom. There are a lot of wonderful things happening in dance for mothers as well. And I think that's the way that we can continue to work toward inclusivity and access in the field, which we all want. And I think another idea would be to continue to promote choreography, performance, and scholarship that focuses on women's issues, mothering and parenting issues, and again, telling stories of motherhood and parenthood on stage. I think that's really important.
Thank you so much, Ali. This has been incredible. Thank you to everyone who's watching. We will have more Moving Forces interviews headed your way soon. Thank you.
Thank you.